Welcome to the Inner Blueprint Podcast. I'm Shawn Feurer, the Universal Mindset Disruptor. With over 20 years of turning blueprints into thriving home improvement businesses, I've learned that the strongest foundations start in your mind. Whether you're building a business or your own success, we're here to reshape how you think and face daily life and always remind you to enjoy the ride. Hello, and welcome back to another episode of Inner Blueprint, the podcast for the home improvement industry, but actually with its ripple effect for anyone and everyone looking to think better thoughts and get better results. I'm your co-host, Shawn Feurer, here with the beautiful, radiant
Kaitlin Feurer.
And we're excited today to dive into a topic with you. We don't have a guest. We just have Miss Kaitlin and I, and we are going to be talking about
Paradigms.
Paradigms. And no, it's not a pair of dimes. It's a paradigm.
And I didn't know what that word was when I first met you.
I know. Well, it's funny because I had heard the word a lot over my lifetime, but I remember when I first started, and it was specifically working with Bob Proctor. And Bob over the years he literally did events called the Paradigm Shift.
Yeah.
And he gave us a definition. So for today's episode, the definition of a paradigm is a programmed set of patterns, beliefs, or habits that reside in your subconscious mind. And to truly understand what a paradigm is, you have to understand that as a paradigm resides in your subconscious mind makes up 95% of your daily activities, basically. Because a 5% conscious thought goes through the filter of what's programmed, patterned, habits, and creates your results. And an example of this, it's funny, we were talking about this on the way in this morning. When you get dressed in the morning, you don't think about it.
Nope.
You don't think when you put your pants on, you don't think, put my left leg, then my right leg. You just do whatever you're programmed or patterned to do. As we drove to this studio, we've been here a bunch of times.
Yeah.
We talked. We stopped and got a coffee. I didn't think about anything as far as how I was driving here. It's just like a memorized pattern. And for things like getting ready and driving, it's very efficient to have paradigms and programs in your mind. What we're going to be talking about today is what are the paradigms in your mind that are limiting you, that are holding you back? And once you discover them, how do you change it? How do you create that shift to get better results? And this whole podcast is about thinking better thoughts. Well, if we're going to think better thoughts, the first step is understanding that 95% of my thoughts are pre-programmed and patterned. Yeah. I'm not consciously aware of them or thinking them. You know, it's like a submarine deep in the water trying to keep me safe. And although it does keep you safe and it does have the fight or flight response, a lot of times it's trying to protect us from things that came from other people that aren't true and aren't ours. So let's dive into it, Miss Kaitlin. So you said you didn't know what a paradigm was. We just defined it, but what does it mean to you now that you understand paradigms?
Well, I knew what it was, right, once you explained it. I had just never heard the word paradigm. You hear different things like, oh, these are your habits, or like, oh, you're programmed this way. Like, these are your programs.
Or even, this is a story you tell yourself.
This is your story, right? So once I was like, oh, paradigms, all of those things, right, that just reside in my subconscious. Makes sense, absolutely. I love how big that word has become to so many people now because of us. I really, and Bob, obviously.
Yes.
But it's interesting because there's so many things that go on in our lives that create paradigms. And I mean, everything from the language we speak, the foods we prefer, those are all paradigms, right?
Yes.
I didn't come to this world and be like, today I want to speak English. Like, it was just spoken to me from the time I was born until I learned it myself. So it's really interesting because I don't even think about speaking English anymore. It's just what I do.
Yeah.
And so
you haven't for a long time.
Yeah. And like walking, like I don't even think about walking. I know I can just, if I have to walk, I'm walking. Like, there's just so many things that are paradigms, and it can be simple things like that. And it can be not simple things like, what do I believe about myself?
Paradigm.
Yep.
Yeah, your self-image, who you think you are, is a program.
What I look like, or what I see when I look in the mirror. That's a paradigm. It's so crazy and it's so true. And if you question this, like if you ever see pictures of yourself where you don't realize you're in the picture and you go, oh, I wonder who that is, and it looks different than what you see when you look in the mirror, that's because it's not being filtered the same way. You're not expecting it.
Or if you meet somebody and you realize very quickly that they don't think they're beautiful or they don't think they look good. And you looking at them are like, you look amazing. You're beautiful. You're gorgeous. It's a paradigm, right? It's not what we physically see. It's what's programmed into the mind that creates the reality.
Whether it's true or not. I mean, there's so much thing as, there's a term going around called blonde blindness, right? Where girls can't get blonde enough. They don't think they're blonde. You look at them, or I were to look at them, or you were to look at them, we'd go, oh my gosh, they're so blonde. And they're looking in the mirror going, I need to be blonder. How many things like that happen that are just based off of paradigms? Like, what do I believe about love? What do I believe about money? What do I believe about time? And you questioned me on this. One of the first, I think it was like the first day we went to yoga together, I was like, oh, I have to do this, off to run to the next thing. And you looked at me and you're like, you are a powerful time creator. And I was like, because I said something like, there's just never enough hours in the day. And you're like, actually, you're a very powerful time creator. And I was like, you're right, I am. And it completely shifted the paradigm. Like something that easy actually did shift a paradigm for me right away because I took control of it. At that time, I just thought the hours in the day happened. I had no control over. I just had to like schedule what I scheduled, get through it and do it again the next day. And that started a total paradigm shift for me. Like it made me dive into how do I spend my time? What do I do? Am I in control of my schedule? Am I in control of anything? Why am I always late to everything? Like, where is this coming from? And really made me dive into it. Just like my subconscious went crazy thinking about that, just hearing that one term. So it is interesting. That's something we can hit on in a minute, but how easy it is to shift a paradigm sometimes.
Yes, it can be easy. And it's interesting if you think about it. Okay, if I want to shift or change a paradigm, the first step is really understanding, well, how did it get there?
Well, first step is identifying it, right?
Yeah.
What is the paradigm?
Yeah, I have a paradigm about money, or I have a paradigm about my self-image, or I have a paradigm about relationships. Okay, that's fine. Now I have awareness that there's an issue here for me and I want to change it.
Yeah.
Where did it come from? And for all of us, we go back to, as a newborn child, we didn't know what to believe about anything. So how do we get programmed? Two ways basically that we focus on: spaced repetition of thought, hearing something over and over, or an emotional event. That's it. Mm-hmm. So once you realize, okay, I have this paradigm about money, got programmed when I was a small child. My parents lost their job. They got divorced, put us in scarcity, emotional event. Now I think there's not enough money. Crazy thing is 20 years later, we're still dealing with that program pattern as we're trying to create abundance and trying to get out of it. So two ways you can shift the paradigm. One is just an aha moment.
Yeah.
But sometimes that's not enough, right? Like sometimes having it, the program or paradigm can be so deeply rooted that it's going to take some work. It's going to take some work. And, most of the work we do as coaches is just affirmation work. But we've got some clients, we've got myself who has some traumatic things from the past. You have to get with maybe a specialist. I've worked with licensed therapists. I've got an energy coach. We've worked with hypnotherapists, breath work coaches.
EMDR.
Any, modality that's licensed to dive deep into your subconscious might be something to look at.
I mean, there's a lot. Plant medicine's one of those too. Like there are so many different modalities to help you get deeper because again, paradigms are created one of two ways: spaced repetition of thought, so over and over again, or a emotional event. So sometimes that spaced repetition, if you don't fully believe what you're telling yourself and the affirmation and that kind of work is not working, you need to do something deeper to help elicit a emotional event too, to really be able to shift that. And it's so funny. I actually saw something this week and I was like, that makes total sense. A lot of people say, oh, this takes time. This takes time. Like, you don't know how much time this is going to take, but it's going to take some time. Really, it just takes alignment. That's what it takes. And so programming your paradigm can be quick or it can not be quick because it just falls into alignment. And
when it takes a lot of time, it's because you resist it.
Yeah, and you're not in alignment of it. That's all it comes down to. It's that simple. That blows my mind that so many people, again, people have paradigms about time. To make this change, it's going to take me this long, right?
And you think about it, I mean, for me, some of the most powerful paradigm shifts I've seen are after some sort of traumatic emotional event. I mean, you and I both.
Or not traumatic too, just an emotional event too.
Yeah, an impactful emotional event.
It can be very positive.
Divorce for a lot of people. You'll see, and won't even use us as examples, but I've seen people that were out of shape, miserable. They go through a divorce. Maybe they didn't even want it. And on the other side of it, all of a sudden they're in better shape than they've ever been. They're starting to do things differently, but it took the emotional event. Loss of a loved one. It really gives us an awareness of life is short. I can't tell you for myself, and you've lost loved ones way too young. We've got clients and friends that have dealt with it. And it really brings you to that emotional presence of, wow, life is short. I've been taking life for granted, or I've been stuck in some patterns and programs that don't work for me. And now I want to shift it. For listeners, like one of the most impactful things that I've seen in both of our lives and in a lot of the people we work with is the money paradigms.
Yes.
And in this, we usually run into two. Number one is what you believe about money. It's the root of all evil. Rich people are bad, whatever it is. There's like programs around the concept of money, all paradigms.
Or the opposite, right? Like, if I have money, then I'll be happy. When I make this much, then I'll have this. Like there's the opposite of it too. Not like money's bad, but like money is a necessary, like I have to have whatever it is, right? Because again, not all paradigms are bad.
No. And if you want a quick shift on your money paradigm, just change it to money's energy. That's all it is. Currency, it's a financial energy. And just like anything, when I wake up, I want energy in my body. How do I get it? I eat good, I sleep well, I do some breath work, and I get energy. When I have more money in my bank account, I've been through having no money in my bank account.
Yeah.
It zaps my energy. Like you can't create, you can't do the things you want to. So a paradigm shift on money is just reframing what you think about it. But then the second one, which I found to be even more impactful, is what do you think about numbers and money? Mm-hmm. In mathematics, how do we get programmed? 0 is a starting point for a lot of things. So we get programmed. Where do we spend most of our time thinking about? When you learn to count, you learn to count to 10. Then you learn multiplication tables. We literally spend most of our programmed pattern mind from like 0 to maybe 1,000. And some people can wrap their mind around 100,000. We get to 1 million, most people are stretched. We get to 1 billion, people are really stretched. When you say 1 trillion, most people don't even know how many zeros that is, and we can't function. And so as I've worked with individuals, one of the first things we have them do is start thinking about bigger numbers.
Yeah.
This is like the law of relativity, right? $1 million is a lot compared to 0. $1 million isn't much compared to $1 trillion, right?
It's nothing, yeah.
It's nothing. And so, even to this day, I've slowly worked my way on just thinking about bigger numbers. And again, to create a paradigm about money, a new good one, and about numbers, just think about them every single day. I mean, I do affirmations with bigger numbers as my income. And it's crazy how the mind works. You start changing the paradigm inside of your mind. Yeah. The physical world matches it.
I mean, there was this weekend, my phone went flying off the bed. I was like, oh shit, I didn't mean to do that. And I was like, oh no, I hope it's not broken. Like thinking like, this is an expensive phone. It's pretty new. Like, I hope it's not cracked. Like, I was just thinking like, gosh, that's going to be a lot to replace all that. And you like yelled something like, hey, be careful about your phone or something. And then you shared with me after, you're like, at first I was thinking, God, that's a $1,200 phone. She needs to be more careful. But then I was like, it's only a $1,200 phone.
It's only, yeah. And again, I not like I'm going to encourage you to break your phone or not take care of things or not appreciate things. But literally, when I was going through my biggest scarcity, and I've gone through it a couple of times as a small child. Me and my mom were on welfare as I went through the divorce years ago, struggles with my business, some bad real estate deals. Yeah. I got put in scarcity, and I would think about, $1,200 was a lot of money. Yeah. And there are a lot of people today that still think it's a lot of money. And the problem is if you think it's a lot of money, it's hard to get because you think it's a lot. I mean, Bob Proctor, who I've talked about a lot with paradigms, he would say, if you want to make $1 million, Shawn, you have to make it small in your mind. Mm-hmm. And I kind of understood that, but I feel like in the last even 6 months, I've gotten a better understanding.
Well, that was what
when a $1,200 phone seems like a lot, I haven't made $1 million small in my mind.
Not even close. You can't even fathom what that is. It seems
like it's only, I was comparing $1,200 to $1 million instead of comparing $1,200 to 0. Yeah. If that makes sense. And that's, again, pattern program thinking. What do you think about? We've got a new client who, she's working on abundance and scarcity, and she had spent some time with me before getting into the program, and she was trying to get us a cheaper Lyft ride back to the hotel. Yeah. And she brought up on one of the calls, she goes, I know you were thinking about why she worried about $14 lifts. And I actually was, because I'm like, no, you are a successful business owner. Like, you shouldn't put that much energy into trying to save $5 on a Lyft. But I mean, I've worked with very wealthy people that are literally looking for a cent savings on gas. On gas. And they get off the freeway and drive 15 minutes out of their way, not valuing their time and how much their time is worth to save, $10 on a tank of gas?
That is such a great example of how conditioned we are, what our paradigms look like. I remember, because gas today is way more expensive than we learned to drive. I mean, and way more expensive than when you learned to drive.
Well, it was free. Back then we were in wagons and horses.
Just got it from the dinosaurs.
We didn't even have gas.
But I used to do that. I used to go, well, I need to get gas at Costco because it's the cheapest. I would wait in line for like 20 minutes just to get to a freaking like pump, right? And it's like, is that really worth my time, my money, my energy to save 5 cents a gallon or 10 cents a gallon?
I would say no. I mean, honestly.
Yeah, you
this
completely changed it
even
for
before
me.
I did mindset work, this is one, if I've got to drive, I've got to have gas in my car.
Yeah, regardless of what it costs.
I couldn't even tell you how much a gallon it is right now. I
don't
pay
know
attention.
Either. We don't pay attention.
I literally put in my car. I pay for it. I have to have it to drive my car. And think about that though. If you put energy to it, you're putting energy to, you know, if it's $50 or $100 to fill up your car and you're trying to make, you know, hundreds of thousands of dollars or millions or whatever it is, you can't have your paradigm be about saving 5 cents.
5 cents.
You know, we're still responsible with our money. We take very good care of our money, but we don't sweat the small stuff. And
we can't. We have no control over it.
But you used to.
I used to. All those things. Like I would look on Waze for like, here's the closest gas station. This one's the cheapest. I'm going to drive to it. Like why?
Yeah.
Gas is gas, right? You have to have it in your car. You're right. Why?
And again, you have to walk through this. You know, we have a lot of clients that fly a lot. We fly a lot. You know, when I first started traveling, I was working for a company. I mean, they budgeted Southwest. I had to get the cheapest flights for everywhere. And I was flying all over the country.
Remember when Southwest was the cheapest?
And it was exhausting. And the flights, nothing against that airline, but no assigned seating, never know.
Oh.
And, you know, we travel so much now. And again, a lot of times we don't have to pay for it or pay extra for it because we do travel so much. But Comfort Plus, first class, you know, that's a paradigm. You know, I actually, even when I could afford to, my dad growing up had some money paradigms about rich people, right? And even when we could afford to in our business in the past, he wouldn't fly first class. He'd tell me, Shawn, that's where the snobs are. I'm like, no, that's where the bigger seats and a meal is.
And better conversation is,
yes,
right?
Yes.
Yeah, definitely.
You know, even when I used to, you know, work with Jack Canfield, Jack would say, you know, buy a more expensive shirt than you've ever bought and wear it to an event just to see what that feels like, and fly first class if you've never flown and see who you get to meet and who you get to talk to.
Yep.
But again, in order to do some of these things, you got to shift your paradigms.
So yeah, shift the paradigm. And like I said earlier, not all paradigms are bad.
No.
The first thing you want to do is look around at what your paradigms are, right? Like establish what those are. Some are great. You know, like mine, like I will never be a victim. Like that is one of my paradigms. Like I don't believe we're victims of anything. I think that we have the power to, you know, as humans, we have the power to create whatever reality we want. So I will never be a victim of anything.
When things happen, they happen for you.
They always happen for me.
That's a good paradigm you've always had.
Yeah, I'm never going to change that, right?
For me, I've had, you know, really strong paradigms of honesty, of integrity, of doing the right thing, to a point of self-sacrifice actually sometimes. So I've maintained those good ones. But then I've also realized
to let go of the people
where they don't serve me.
Yeah.
You know, if I'm being honest and integrous with somebody who isn't, I can't keep giving to that situation. I have to change the situation and move somewhere else.
And it's so interesting because when you start to shift the paradigms that are no longer working for you or no longer serving for you, and maybe they never did, it's easier to shift different paradigms. Like I'm thinking of DJ right now, right? He had that paradigm about education for so long, where he
and this is for those of you that don't know this story, he was a successful business person. Very successful. More than most of his high school classmates, but he went to a Catholic high school. Education was important. Most of his peers went on to college, got degrees, and here he is a successful business person.
He opened a business
that makes more money than they do, but he would go into events and hope somebody didn't ask him about his college education because he didn't have one. And that was a paradigm. And it was one that held him from powerfully sharing, from powerfully showing up. And in the last few years, he shifted it. Yeah. And he'll tell you today, he has a PhD in business and life because he does. He's educated in a different way.
I mean, he definitely makes more, has a better lifestyle, has more freedom, everything like that than a lot of his friends.
And education is so important to him. And he's got, you know, his oldest daughter's going to college and getting a degree. It's not that he doesn't believe in education. He does. He just took a different path. And because he took a different path, was literally beating himself up over it. Yeah.
And then he shifted the paradigm, and that was awesome. And then I've seen him more easily shift other paradigms. Like, you know, this isn't worth my time. Like I'm going to, you know, just pay this amount of money because it's not
worth it.
I'm worth it. Like dealing with this for 4 hours is not worth my time. So I'm going to make sure it's taken care of in other ways, where before he would self-sacrifice or kill himself to be in those rooms or take care of those situations on his own instead of delegating or just paying whatever it costs to get out of it. Right. Flying private was something that I remember when he was just starting to do. And now, you know, he flew private to Aruba, right? So cool. Like
flight got delayed. They were going to miss an event that was important to his wife. And he's like, I'm just going to pull the trigger and spend a little bit more money. And and get there. One thing too, I want to dive into a little bit, and this is one of the biggest paradigms that I would say almost every human being I've ever met, you and I included, is the paradigm or program that we're not enough.
I think that's the core wound for everybody, right? That's our core wound. Am I enough? And we get thrown in this world and we're compared to others by people that love us, right? Our parents compare us to our siblings, our teachers compare us to the other kids in our class, our coaches compare us to our competition.
Well, yeah, and in school, you could always do better. You got a 90%, you could get 100%.
And that's our job.
And it got to the point where it was an expectation you could get bonus points and get 105%.
Yeah.
In sports, you scored 3 goals or you scored 2 touchdowns. You could score another one. And think about that. Spaced repetition of thought, emotional events. When we're told we could always do more, the opposite of what we're hearing is, well, you're not enough. You're not enough. And, I think so many high-level individuals, so many struggling individuals, if you take a look in the mirror and ask yourself, how many times am I feeling like I didn't do enough, or like I could have done more, or I wish I would have shown up more powerfully? I mean, that's a root paradigm of not enoughness.
And it's so funny because a lot of people will take that. The successful people in life take that, I can always do better, and they let that drive them, right? But at some level, you don't, because those are the same people that feel guilty.
Well, yeah,
for resting.
Because they're working on the outside.
Yes.
I'm not enough, so I'm going to work harder, try harder, do more. And even if you get some stuff for it, if you have a bunch of stuff, I mean, I had a lot of stuff on the outside when I still wasn't enough.
Yeah.
I ended up giving it all away, basically. I lost it all because it didn't match. You
Yeah.
know, that's even where the paradigm of like the trust fund kid crying in his Ferrari, right?
Yeah.
He has all this stuff that was given to him on the outside, but when the work's not done on the inside, and especially the enoughness, we call it the keystone self-limiting belief. That no matter what you do on the outside, if you don't believe and really believe to your core that when you show up powerfully as you don't actually have to do anything. Like, you are enough just being you.
Yeah. And those paradigms do run deep. Like, you and I are both those people of like, we can always do better. There's always more, like, never settle, like never be compliant, which drives us to be very successful, right? But then I see it with us that we sometimes have a hard time resting, right? Because there is always something more. And then I have to like look inside myself and really ask myself the question, am I scared to rest because I feel like I'm not doing enough? Or am I scared to rest because I know how much opportunity there is? And I have to really question myself sometimes. Is this a paradigm that's not serving me at some level, or is it a paradigm that actually is?
Yeah.
Because it's always a double-edged sword.
It is. And if it does serve you at some level, you can still use it to serve you.
Absolutely.
And work on the fact that you're enough, right?
It's a constant thing.
Yeah, we talk about the balance of, we're not human doings, we're human beings.
Yes.
But most people have trouble just being.
Yeah.
And that's a paradigm. That's a program.
It is.
You're told to hustle, not to be lazy, work hard. And we do all of that. And we're still trying to work on just being. Mm-hmm. Yeah. I mean, even for this podcast episode, right? When we're getting ready, both of us will look and we'll think, we don't script anything, but I want to make sure we give listeners enough. We give listeners enough.
We want to give you value.
And I will tell you, the more time we spend in that energy, the less value we actually add. And the more we just come up with the concept and we dive in like we are right now, and we get into like, okay, this is what we're really thinking or feeling. Yep. And this is what we've experienced it. And this is how we share it.
It's authenticity, right? And that's a paradigm. What's your paradigm about authenticity, about being authentic, right? What's your paradigm?
I have a huge paradigm because I've experienced a lot of inauthenticity, a lot of phony bullshit in my career, in my life, and it triggers the hell out of me. I mean, it really does. It's one of my core principles and drive in this business is we don't just say it, we do it, right? And if I'm going to, talk about something, I'm going to share authentically and vulnerably. Yeah. When I talk about money, I've had bad money mindset. I've had shitty paradigms. When I talk about love and relationships, I've had some bad belief systems that I've had to overcome. When I think about my self-worth and who I am, oh my gosh, I've been challenged and questioned myself so many times. Yeah. And that's why I love this work so much. For us to be able to share messages like this on the podcast, to do the work we do inside of our business with our clients, we have so many wins. And at the end of the day, it's funny, I've heard people that have been around our clients at different industry events, and they're like, they sure use the word paradigm a lot. Yep. Every conversation is, that sounds like a paradigm, but it makes my heart happy to know that, yes, when you're talking about a situation, most of the time, even when there's a disagreement, we say it's not a problem, it's a paradigm.
Oh, that's what saves our relationship, right?
Yeah.
Because if I'm starting to feel insecure, or my subconscious is getting triggered by something, right? I start acting a certain way that I may not even be aware of, because again, that's a paradigm. And then that'll trigger something in you to act a certain way because that's your paradigm. And you either get really needy or I get really distant or whatever it is. And we have to look at each other and be like, what's the problem here? It's not a problem. It's paradigm. Like, what triggered this in you?
Yeah.
And it can be not even something you did. Like, it's something within me, which is
No.
so interesting. So couples, if you're listening, when it comes down to things, there's two things that we always say is that it's never you versus him or vice versa. It's you guys versus the problem. And typically the problem is not a problem. It's just a paradigm.
And once we identify it's a paradigm, we realize it's something that came from her past,
Absolutely.
my past, other people,
Yep.
and it was impressed upon us.
Yeah.
And that's the most powerful thing. So we've talked about a few examples of paradigms, ways to shift it. I mean, the first one is just awareness. I mean, you can,
That's the first step.
especially, and you can create your own emotional event. Oh my gosh, I've been thinking this way about this situation, money, relationship, myself, and I can see it's not serving me. And I just want to create a shift here. And I start thinking about the shift. I start getting excited about it. And I have seen people, including both of us, where we've had those moments where we create a deep, lasting paradigm shift with awareness. But for most things, that's not enough.
No, because again, as much time as it takes will be up to you. It's when you actually get an alignment of it. And alignment happens when your thoughts become a belief, right? And so there's certain things that you can do to take a thought, because again, that the conscious thought has to be filtered through your subconscious.
Yeah,
It's a lot.
Yes, we have to plant it and bury it.
That's why positivity doesn't always work, right? A positive thought can't change your day, not one single thought, because it goes through that filter. So you have to do things
over and over
and over. You have to, that repetition.
And if we sound like a broken record, it's because we are.
why.
Because again, the only way you change a paradigm that wasn't changed with awareness is with spaced repetition of thought, saying it to yourself over and over, eventually creating results where you hear it from other people that you're actually changing and doing good work there, or an emotional event, or a combination of the two.
Yeah.
And that will create paradigm shifts for you.
So certain things that we have the clients that work with us do are affirmations.
Yeah.
You know, if you are consistently late to things, one of my...
I am always on time.
I am always on time, or I am always early, or, I am consistently 10 minutes early to any event. Like I've had so many affirmations over the years, and now I'm not really late anymore. It baffles me.
I mean, we were late to get to the studio this morning, so Diego's probably in the back room calling us out right now.
That's because we stopped for coffee.
No,
but
I'm kidding.
But for most things, like I would be 20 to 30 minutes late to everything, because I'm such an opportunist that I would be like, oh, I need to make the bed, and I'm going to start this laundry, and I'm going to do this and this and this.
But yeah, if you're chronically always late, or if you have an employee or a teammate that's always late, and you ask them to change it and they don't,
they
couldn't. Can't.
It was like 34 years I could not change this. And now through affirmation, just one awareness of where does this come from? Oh, I actually do know where this come from. Like my stepmom was late to everything. And I'd watch my dad get so mad at her, and I'd be so mad that my dad was getting so mad. So it was like, well, I'm going to do that to you now too, Dad. That's where it came from. Okay, cool. Awareness. And then two, like I am a powerful time creator. Like what am I doing? Like what is important? Things like that. And there still are things that are important.
The paradigms are stacked too, though, because as you started wanting to be on time, then you started realizing you were giving too much of your time away.
Yep.
And then you had to have the realization of, oh, my time's valuable.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm enough. Oh, I can't just give all day, every day freely without balancing the energy of what's most important and what's most beneficial to me.
That actually is so true, because I would never get bothered when people were late to meet me, but it's because I didn't value my time.
Yeah, you didn't think they were wasting your time by being late.
And I felt a little guilty that I was always late. So I was like, I can never get mad at someone for being late because I'm late to everything. And like, it's okay, I'll just make it work, because I wasn't valuing my time. Once I learned to value myself and my time, I'm on time to everything. Like I really am. So it is interesting, but it's crazy.
I mean, we're authentic. You are sometimes pushing it to make flights on time.
Have I ever missed one?
Not yet.
Thank you. Okay. Just saying. But yeah, it's really interesting. So affirmations are a really great way to shift a paradigm, right? But you have to say it so much with so much conviction that it becomes a belief, because belief creates action.
I've been saying the same affirmations for 5 years, and I believe them mostly, but I still say them.
Yeah, there's a few that I still say I've adjusted mine when it feels like, oh, I actually really believe this now, and this doesn't apply to me anymore. I'm going to focus on something different. Yeah. But yeah, there are some that I still say every day, like I am worthy, right? Like, I am loved.
Yes. So affirmations is one way. What's another way we use to shift paradigms?
I'm drawing a blank.
Powerful,
There's a million of them.
powerful conversations.
Yeah.
Like if you have a situation, especially if it involves another person, like in our personal relationship, we've had things come up that have challenged us. And for me, I can't speak for you, but for me, just having a powerful conversation, being vulnerable, talking through what's happening, how it's making me feel, how it might be something that you're not aware of and seeing. And when we get on the same page, you have that feeling. You have that feeling that something changed.
Yeah.
That we now are communicating better. That now you get my point of view and I've been able to speak it.
Yeah.
And for me, that creates a paradigm shift. Like now I'm able to show up differently in this situation because I've honestly and powerfully communicated exactly what's going on.
Yeah, because I can't read minds. You can sometimes.
Sometimes.
Another one is just listening to good material, right? Like
On repeat.
On repeat. There's so many things that I would just listen to music all the time. I barely listen to music now in the car, especially in the car. I'm listening to either one of our modules, I'm listening to a podcast or like a YouTube or something that is uplifting me, like an audio tape, something like that, right? Because especially while doing something while driving, which we know it is a subconscious program for me now, right?
Yeah.
So I'm able to program my subconscious pretty easy when it's doing something where I'm not having to focus. I am focusing when I drive, everyone, but I'm not having to focus as hard. And so I'm able to download that. It's almost like why you listen to things like that while you're sleeping.
Yeah, I was going to say, I got a few clients recently have shared with me, if you're trying to be more assertive, you can literally find a YouTube 3 or 4 hour playlist affirming affirmation. Mm-hmm. And if you listen to that as you go to sleep.
Oh, dear God, don't make me listen to that.
No,
I don't need that one.
No, we don't need that. No, but for this specific client, it was a huge win that he's been able to go to sleep every night. And as you go to sleep, your conscious mind shuts off. Your subconscious is pretty wide open. And it's like a subliminal message you're listening to over and over.
Yeah.
I actually learned that as a young child. My dad used to have me listen to my spelling and vocabulary words on a cassette recorder. I'd record them, put it on a little loop and hit play and go to sleep. Wake up, I know the words. It's crazy how the mind works.
And so, doing something like, driving like long distances, right? A long road trip, it's the perfect time, especially to listen to that because you're in that programmable state, which is awesome.
Yeah. I've always believed in meditation. And I do think if you're not meditating, you should start a practice, 5, 10, 15 minutes.
It could be anything.
So start at 5 minutes. And if you think about the programmed mind that's programmed with thoughts, it's thinking 60 to 70,000 thoughts in a day. And if you can shut that down, it will help you get clarity. It will help you open up. And then another technique I'm recently learning from my mindset coach that I've been working with is deep thinking time. And meditation can be part of it, but really getting out of your program pattern thoughts and taking a deep dive. Okay, this thought just came up. Why am I thinking that? Where does it come through? And really doing some deep thinking on, I want to make more money, or I want to have a better relationship with my spouse, or I want to be a better father. Whatever it is, and just spending some time with your thoughts in a non-judgmental way, just creating awareness and then going deeper with them and trying to figure out. And again, this is kind of an idea to uncover the paradigms even more. Yeah.
And then gratitude really helps shift paradigms.
Mm-hmm.
Not, like I said, not all paradigms are bad, right? And even the ones that are not serving us, still showing gratitude for those, right? And then gratitude for awareness of like, oh, this isn't serving me. Maybe it did it one time. I'm grateful that I know that now. And so I'm going to change that.
As far as manifesting, attracting things, we talk all the time. Gratitude, I think, is one of the most powerful tools.
It's the secret sauce.
And I used to try to be grateful, but with affirmation and with practice, I really am. In fact, I told Kaitlin this morning, and April's kind of challenging for me. I lost my mom 8 years ago in April. I lost my brother a year ago in April. And the mind remembers everything. And I've kind of been feeling a little anxious, a little sad. And I woke up this morning and it was crazy because I was like trying to become aware of my thoughts. And I was doing gratitudes in my mind automatically. I was literally like, and I think my mind knew I was like in a funk, but it's crazy when you do them long enough.
Yeah.
I wasn't consciously having to do the affirmations. They were coming. My first thought was, I'm so happy I'm laying next to Miss Kaitlin in this beautiful home. And I'm so thankful for the work that we get to do. And I'm so thankful that we get to go record podcast episodes today and really go into the simple things. I'm so happy that I can go downstairs and hop in my sauna and sweat for 20 minutes and then come in, have a cup of coffee and just the little things. But it's crazy cool how that can bring you just a presence. We're traveling this week. We've got a lot of challenges. Had some issues with my sprinklers over the weekend where I had water flood over to the neighbor's house. And I got to get all taken care of before we leave tonight. And it's crazy because I woke up with my gratitudes and almost everything I was worried about has already been taken care of before we even get to tonight.
Which is awesome.
Yeah.
So, there's a lot you can do to shift paradigms. We listed the most effective that we've found in our study and through success of clients, but you can reach out to us. Like, if you're not already subscribed to this podcast, subscribe to it. We share so many tips. We share so many tools to become aware of what your paradigms are, how to shift them. We give success stories for that. Follow us on social media. We're always giving away free tips, tricks, and awareness.
And our only ask is you do something with it. Like,
please.
don't just hear it. Like, listen
Although
to it
if you're
over
hearing
and over.
it enough, if you want to listen to it over and over and over, you definitely can, because that's reprogramming your subconscious. But shoot us a DM. We would love to hear, like, hey, this is what I'm struggling with right now. Or, hey, this is like, I think this is a paradigm, is it or not? Like, Shawn and I always answer DMs. Like, we even answer each other's if we have to. Like, we are here for you. Like, this is what we do because we love it. And if we can help one person, the ripple effect of that is huge. It's huge to us.
The ripple effect is what it's all about. Yeah, and please.
Those are my favorite messages too.
Like and subscribe to the podcast. Listen to it. Share it with people you love and care about. We've talked about, we had an episode about this isn't a business, it's a movement.
Yeah.
This is a movement. It's a movement awareness. Once you understand, and we talk about the definition of insanity is doing the same thing over and over and expecting a different result. The challenge as humans is our mind is programmed to create us doing the same thing over and over. Going back to how we started the episode, the mind is programmed for patterns. It memorizes how you get dressed. It memorizes how you drive. But it also memorizes what you think about time, money, relationships, love, sex, flying first class, spending too much money on a watch, whatever it is. These are all programmed patterns.
Yeah.
And with the awareness, we can uncover these paradigms. And once we've uncovered them, now we've got somewhere to go. Now we've got some work to do. And again, it's about consistency. Our recommended dailies for people is 5 minutes of daily affirmation of your goal, 5 minutes of daily affirmation of what you're trying to create, your I am statements, assertiveness, directness, empathy, emotion, whatever it is, and then wrap it up in 5 minutes of gratitude. And if you're willing to spend 15 minutes a day working on your paradigms, working on shifting, 30, 60, 90 days, you'll start to notice. I mean, again, we are walking testimonials.
30 days you notice, 60 days other people start to notice, 90 days everyone starts to notice.
And we really do see shifts can happen overnight, but for most people, it takes 6 months to a year of this type of work on your mind.
Because you have to come into that alignment.
We just finished, a 3-month session with a group of clients, and we do wins, and it's crazy. And so many wins from first-time people in the group, but so many wins from people that are at a year with the material. Some people 2 years, 5 years, ahas. I mean,
really
if
cool.
you think about that, the work on your mind is never done, and you can either let your 95% control you every day. And if it's creating great results, you're one of the few that's actually a natural
and you could be
conclusion.
better.
Yeah. And it can always get better. I mean, how does it get better, Miss Kaitlin?
It just does.
It just does.
I can't wait to see.
All right. Well, thank you for listening. Again, we'd love to hear from you. Any suggestions, any questions you have, please reach out to us.
And we really do. We check our DMs. We do. It's not a bot. It's not someone else. Like, it is Shawn and I. That is who that. And our favorite messages, especially to like share with each other, is like, oh, look, Brendan messaged me. He said this, or, things like that where it's,
we had a bunch of clients at a contractor event that we weren't at this weekend, and we were getting pictures. We got messages of thank you for helping me remember who I am, as this gentleman won awards and was going back to a place he'd been years ago, but through challenges have been taken away. So enjoy the ride. It's a good one. Join the movement with us. Like, listen, and share. Thanks for being here. Welcome to the Inner Blueprint Podcast. I'm Shawn Feurer, the Universal Mindset Disruptor. With over 20 years of turning blueprints into thriving home improvement businesses, I've learned that the strongest foundations start in your mind. Whether you're building a business or your own success, we're here to reshape how you think and face daily life, and always remind you to enjoy the ride.